So Rami was Agani, but Rome had to go on, so the discussions began. Since Romulus reigned alone for a period after the death of the Sabine king, the Sabines wanted a Sabine king. The Romans obviously wanted a Roman king, so there was a brief interregnum of 1 year where no king was elected. They eventually landed on the Sabine Numa Pompilius, but he set the trend and was originally against becoming king. It's said that the omens from the gods convinced him to take the role. I'm sorry guys, I don't think I can lead. I think pooping should be a communal activity, especially wiping. You're right, I can do this. So Numa became king. Numa is the religious version of Romulus. If there's something no one really knows who started, it's probably Numa. Numa is in a sense the opposite of Romulus. He was a pious man who rejected materialistic things and wanted to live a life of piety. For his reign, he is credited with establishing the Pontifex Maximus, which is the high priest, along with his colleagues the Flamines, the Salii, and the Augurs. He also founded the vestigial virgins within Roman society. They were meant to maintain the sacred fire of Vesta. Due to their role, they were exempt from several duties other women had, which gave them a unique status. Also, the Roman calendar going from 10 to 12 months, adding January and February. And the Temple of Janus, a shrine for which the doors were open in times of war, and during Numa's reign, the doors stayed shut. Numa was instrumental in forming Rome in the way that made the warrior people adapt to religion and peace. Some say it formed the way future Romans would view the ideal balance between martial valor and religious devotion. For Numa's reign, the doors of Janus stayed shut for 40 years, allowing a generation to live without knowing war. But this is Rome. As Numa took a permanent dirt nap with Mars, some were worried that the Romans were not prepared security-wise against the other tribes around. They therefore elected someone more prone to martial matters. They elected Tullus Hostilius, and oh boy was he hostile. The name clearly fit. Tullus believed that the peaceful life under Numa was making the Romans weak, and therefore sought to change this. How, you might ask? Straight up war and conquest. While Numa said to chill and pray, Hostilius meant to raid and slay. But the first and most known engagement was the Battle of the Horati versus the Curiati. This was an agreement between the leaders of Alba, known as the mother city of Rome, and Tullus. Here, 3 Roman brothers would face off against 3 Alba, and the winner would gain supremacy over the other. Here, 2 of the Horati brothers were slain after a skirmish with each of their counterparts. The last brother then backed off, feigning retreat to make them attack one by one, and managed to take them all out.
You underestimate my power!
This led to an alliance with Rome in the driver's seat. After a period of an alliance, the leaders of Alba betrayed the Romans, and Tullus dealt with it before forgiving him. Just kidding, he ripped them apart with chariots. He then forced the citizens of Alba to move to Rome before destroying the city, as well as integrating its noble families in Rome, enhancing their influence as well as military. This will later be a defining trait for Roman expansion, laying the groundwork for future expansion, but there was much more to do. So he also engaged in battles with the Latins, winning several, increasing their influence and making them the more dominant power in the region. After which followed the construction of the Curiae Hostilia, which would serve as the Senate house for centuries, as well as an early architectural landmark. But he was not too good at the religious rites. A plague ravaged the region, which many attributed to Tullus's careless attitude towards religious matters. And when he tried to do them, he did them wrong, which they meant angered the gods, who then took revenge on him. He either died by lightning from Jupiter or a plague. His death was followed by dismay once again. The Romans felt Tullus had neglected his religious duties, but they wanted a new guy who could continue the expansion but also keep them in good company with the gods. Which is how they ended up with Ancus Marcius. He was believed to be the grandson of Numa Pompilius and is sort of a mix between Tullus and Numa, pleasing both sides. Ancus came from a good lineage and was renowned for fairness, moderation, and religious devotion. The first thing he did was to restore the religious rites to establish the Pax Deorum, i.e. peace with the gods. But as Tullus's successor, he followed with campaigns to consolidate Roman power over the Latins. 3 of these towns were the Latin towns of Tellina, Ficania and Politorum, whose citizens he settled on the Aventine Hill in Rome to integrate them into the city. This greatly expanded Roman territory and influence over the Latins, but he didn't just destroy towns, he also created them. The port city of Ostia at the mouth of the Tiber was his doing and created a lot of wealth for Rome through increased trade and the sale of salt with the salt pans. He followed this with several buildings improving the life in Rome. The Pons Sublicius, a wooden bridge over the Tiber connecting Rome with its territories across the river, the Carcer Mamertinus to manage the growing population and ensuring law and order, as well as fortifications on Janiculum Hill. His later reign was filled with defensive campaigns against the Sabines and the Etruscans, as well as more administrative tasks like making sure infrastructure, law, and religious rights could keep up with the influx of citizens in Rome. As he met his end during a peaceful time, he, like Numa, went out peacefully and by natural causes after a 25-year reign. So here we are again. Who should rule now? The next king was an Etruscan fellow called Lucius Tarquinius Priscus, originally named Lucumo. He was born in the Etruscan city of Tarquini and was the son of a Greek migrant who fled from Corinth. As he was an ambitious man, he left Tarquini, whom did not allow immigrants in high offices, for Rome, which was more accepting of outsiders with ambition and talent. As he arrived in Rome, he changed his name to Lucius Tarquinius Priscus and used his inherited wealth and charisma to gain respect among his peers. During Ancus Marcius' term, Tarquinius was appointed to his advisor and got guardianship for both his sons. After Ancus' passing, he leveraged his position into bypassing Ancus' sons.
My opponent is a liar and he cannot be trusted.
And giving him the title of king. Rome didn't have any rules for hereditary ascension, but it was still kind of weird. One of his first accomplishments as king was the defeat of the Sabines. He beat them in battle and, as his predecessors, expanded Roman territory. But more importantly, he started constructions on a sewer system, the Cloaca Maxima. Just imagine the smells of thousands of people just going in the streets. Now that's a war. This drained the marshy land around the Forum, making it a usable civic space. To add to this, he also built the Circus Maximus, Rome's first and largest arena for chariot racing, and the Temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, also called the Capitoline Temple. In these buildings, one can see the Etruscan influence Tarquinius brought with him, in the use of arch and stoneworks. He also brought this to religious rites in the form of augury, or interpreting omens from the birds. I don't know. Maybe you're pregnant? He also introduced the Romans to the toga praetexta, the toga with a purple trim and curule hair. It will come up later, but this purple fascination is insane. He prepared Rome for the future by adding 100 new Senate members, mostly from prominent Etruscan families, as well as reorganizing the Roman army by introducing cavalry units and just improving the structure to prepare for larger scale battles. The legs of the horse left me with 3 choices. 1, animate them, which would take a lot of time for no value. 2, cover them up with like a cloth or something. Or 3, just make them jump up and down and make up some lame excuse.
Ow, my knees!
Needless to say, I went for the latter. Although he brought many Etruscan mannerisms to Rome, he still fought the Etruscans and the Latins as king, solidifying Rome's dominance over the region. But, as you might have realized, his power coup, or what you want to call it, didn't go over well with Ancus Marcius' sons. They obviously felt cheated out of the throne and wanted him gone. So they hired 2 hitmen to sneak up behind him while he was proceeding over a public matter. So simple yet so effective, you gotta respect it. As the story goes, his wife kept it hidden until she could make her son-in-law Servius Tullius regent. I will be going through Servius Tullius and Tarquinius Superbus' reign in the next episode, as well as the fall of the Roman kingdom and the beginning of the Roman Republic.
Bye!